Hello traders, welcome to your daily market update for Tuesday the 19th of May. Overnight we've seen the US dollar bounce after what has been a sizable fall in recent days, and now that that bounce did control the markets overnight. I think it's going to continue to dominate the headlines and the markets leading into today's session. We've seen the RBA minutes come out, and the RBA expressed that they are still willing to cut rates should they be required to. We didn't see a lot of price action on the back of that. The Australian dollar did dip lower a little bit. However, the market wasn't too overwhelmed by the statement itself. Following that, we've just recently had the RBNZ's inflation expectations, and as you can see, it has been upgraded to 1.85% from 1.8%. And the market was caught out by surprise from that, and we are seeing some price action right now. Tonight we do have a host of pound data, as you can see, and the pound will definitely be in focus. And if the data continues to unimpress the market, we could see that the falls that we've had from yesterday's session to continue a little bit lower. And we'll have to keep an eye on the US dollar, of course, to really see if that will exacerbate the falls. We have a little bit of CPI data from the euro as well, and that is going to be very interesting to see, and we'll really look at how the euro is going to perform as well, as it started a topping pattern as well. But I think that all of these moves have been associated with the US dollar. We do have some US dollar data, nothing major on the books just yet, but we do have some housing data coming out. We also have the dairy auctions for New Zealand coming out at tonight, so we need to keep an eye on that. I think that's at 1200 GMT, and that could affect the New Zealand dollar as well. We have seen a series of weaker prints on the dairy, and that has been affecting the prospects of inflation and growth for the New Zealand economy, and the market would like to see an uptick of that, and that should definitely help the inflation forecast that we've seen just pop out then, and the New Zealand dollar should continue to push higher. We have the Bank of Canada governor's speech, and we will start to see the Canadian dollar moving around. We have seen oil and the US dollar play a major role in the Canadian dollar lately, so it'll be interesting to see what the governor says, especially on the back of the bounce on oil prices recently, which can only help the Canadian dollar. We have Deputy Governor Lowe chatting to the market as well, and we have some consumer confidence prints for the Australian dollar. Following on, we do have the Bank of England's minutes on Wednesday, followed by the FOMC minutes. So tomorrow is a big day for central banks. Today we start to get a look at CPI and other data as well. As I mentioned, we are looking here at the dollar index, and I'll get it in view for you. You can see that we have had a sizable bounce, and I think that it is somewhat of a dead cat bounce. It's not one that was subject to any major data coming out. The market was looking for a bit of a relief rally, and we have got that. It has broken above what I was calling a very short-term resistance level, and now it's going to be interesting to see if it stalls. The major resistance level is 95.30 we've got here. That's when the market fell. We had a bit of a bounce and it curled back over. We'll see if we get that again before we actually come and test this level. But the US dollar is definitely in focus and controlling the markets. New Zealand dollar is having a bounce right now, as you can see on the back of the better than expected inflation figures. These falls that we've seen recently are on the back of fears from inflation and the prospects of further interest rate cuts from the New Zealand government. So this could offer support, and we'll continue to watch the dairy auction prices and other data coming out, as the market may turn favourable for the New Zealand pair if the data continues to surprise. The Australian dollar had a little bit of a fall here initially on the back of the RBA statement, but since recovering, you can definitely keep an eye on this major uptrend line here, and the market's really just coming down and testing that, and it seems to have rejected it for the short term, but we'll see how it plays out. For now, the market is definitely in an uptrend. There's some higher lows and higher highs, so we have to remain a bullish view for the time being. The Great British Pound has started some falls, as you can see. We did have the engulfing bear, and then it followed it through on Monday with some further falls. So we are going to see what happens with the data print tonight, and if the data print fails to impress, we could see further falls. Next major support is $1.55, and if the data continues to impress and the Bank of England's minutes tomorrow also cue some dovish tones, we will see further price falls, I'm sure. The euro, if I zoom in for you, is also showing a top and padding. It's now testing the uptrend that we've seen from these points through here, and we have got an engulfing bear candle formation that looks like it's starting to follow through today. And we'll see with the CPI data exactly if we get a bounce off the $1.13 level that it's testing now, or whether the falls continue to move lower. If they do move lower, the next major support's here at $1.11. The US versus the Canadian dollar has had a bounce on the back of the US dollar predominantly, and also oil being a little bit weaker overnight. The bounce has come from a breakout of what was a little falling channel here, and you can see that we have had a breakout, but this breakout is yet to be determined that it is sustainable and not just a short-term bounce. That we'll be keeping an eye on oil, keeping an eye on US dollar to see if it does stall around this area, and if it does so, we could be moving down into some lower ranges as the trend that has been set up may come into play. As you can see, the downtrend line from here, the market could just be having a bit of a bounce to come up and test this area before it heads lower. So you need to be mindful of that, but for now it does look promising. US dollar versus the Japanese yen is stronger on the back of strong yields, prices, and the US dollar, but we are still within this triangle. It doesn't look like breaking out, but we'll keep an eye on the FOMC minutes tomorrow, as we could see some fireworks there if they start to provide any indication of an interest rate rise or the lack of. I'll quickly go over and show you oil. You can see here oil is somewhat, it's a little bit lower. It has come off on the 4-hourly chart. If I go to the daily, zoom in for you, you can see that we're starting to see some lower highs, and the market's really trying to decide whether it wants to get below $60 a barrel. For now, it's holding up, and it's every time it's dipped below, it's found some support, so we'll wait and see how things progress. For me, it needs to break through this 58.9, and then that could open up falls to some lower levels. Well, that's it from me today. We do have some data coming out, so be mindful of the data and trade well.